Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi everyone, this is Nicole Rivera and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. In this week's episode, I get a chance to talk to Kimberle. We met Kimberle last year when she first told us about Medium, but she's back again to give us an update. In between, Sam and I have gotten really close through her book club, which I'm going to give her a moment now to discuss with you because there are some spots open for the book club as we move on this year. But I also want you to stay tuned to the end of the episode because Sam and I have a really special announcement. Like, amazing. And I'm very excited. And I kind of want to tell you now, but then I'm afraid you won't listen to anything else and just run away and just be excited with me. So stay tuned because you need to hear all about all of the changes in Medium, especially if that is a platform that you are using or you're thinking about using. This will give you all the information you need and it'll help you make that decision if it's right for you. But up first, let's get a little chat about this book club. We've talked so much about what I've started calling, I don't know, do you have a name for the book club? I've been calling it the Mastermind book club because Sam's book club that I joined last summer, I guess we first started.
Yes, it was in August.
In August, we first started with The Artist Way, has been more than a book club. It's not just a book club, it's like a mastermind. But Sam, you wanted to discuss about some of the stuff going forward with the Mastermind book club. So.
Sure. So we have 2 more books left. We're currently reading Don't Keep Your Day Job by Kathy Heller. That book club is not available for this year any longer because we're almost halfway through. But there are still 2 more books in the book club. We only read 3 books a year because we go through the books so slowly that we go through them slowly so that we can integrate them into our lives. We don't just read them, we really integrate them. And I create a Slack environment so that we all keep in touch during the week. I assign partners so that people have touchstones throughout the week, personal touchstones with people throughout the week, though it tends to be the case that people reach out to each other naturally at this point anyway. But I just like to make sure that everyone has that opportunity. And of course, we go through the book on Zoom. We have Zoom call meetings weekly as well. There will always be a meeting that you'll be able to attend based on your schedule. You input what you are able to do, and I find it time for everyone to be available. And we're doing You Are a Badass at Making Money next, which still has some open slots, and so does The Artist Way for this year. So if you're interested in reading You Are a Badass at Making Money or The Artist Way in community, please let me know. You can email me at samkimberle@gmail.com. And Nicole can put that, if you don't mind, in the show notes.
Yeah, sure.
Both of those books have transformed my life. They've absolutely changed me. This will be the second time that I will be reading both of those in a group setting, and I cannot wait to do it with this group.
Yeah, and if you've been listening to Stop Writing Alone, you've heard my updates of The Artist Way and how I just gained so much more from going through it with this group. In fact, I am signed up for both of these book clubs. So if you want to join some crazy behind the scenes conversations with me, this is an excellent avenue too. And I know I'm going to really, I think the Badass book is going to rock my entire world. But the Artist Way, this is the way to do the artist way, as far as I'm concerned, to do it with a community. So yeah, I will definitely put Sam's information in the show notes. So if you're interested in signing up for either of those, you can reach out to her to get the information. But that'll be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see some Stop Writing Alone people in our group.
I would too.
Fun. Okay, now let's get to this talk about Medium. I am here today with Sam Kimberle. You will remember Sam has been on the podcast before, and the first time that she was here, she was telling us all about writing on Medium. She inspired a lot of us to get out there and start publishing our work, and in the interim, Medium went and changed some stuff. And I've admitted to Sam, as I will admit to you, I'm confused. So we called Sam back up to say, what happened? But first, Sam, for anybody that doesn't know you, if you could just take a moment to introduce yourself and let everybody know who is Sam Kimberle. And I'll put a link in the show notes to our previous episodes, but just a quick reminder for everyone else.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Sam, and who am I? Well, as a writer, I'm mostly a poet, and I found the Stop Writing Alone podcast originally through a couple of friends of mine who were involved with Kathy Heller and the Don't Keep Your Day Job community, because we're all still kind of part of that community in different ways. And Stop Writing Alone became part of my life because of that. And then I found Medium through Nicole and the Stop Writing Alone podcast originally. And Nicole hadn't even started writing there, but I had a day job and I was writing poetry, and it was kind of my outlet. And I just had a long document of poems, a long Word document of different poems, and I didn't know where I was going to put them. They weren't seeing the light of day. They were just there in my document. And the moment that I heard about Medium, I just knew that that was the place that I wanted them to go.
Hey guys, it's me. I just want to interrupt for a second because I want to stop here and reflect. Sam was a listener of Stop Writing Alone. She still is, but about a year ago, she had a day job. She was writing on her own, but not really doing anything with her writing yet. She had plans, and in a minute we'll get back to the episode so you can hear what she was planning on doing with her poetry. But she heard something on the podcast and said, that feels like it might be a right fit for me. Now, Sam could have gone one of two ways. She could have thought about that. She could have kept writing, kept going to work, and said, I need to learn more about it. I'll wait on it and see what happens. Maybe Nicole will talk about it some more in the Stop Writing Alone podcast, and I'll wait to see what happens. The other option, which is the option Sam took, she said, well, Nicole gave me this idea of Medium. Let me go figure out the rest. Let me take action now. Let me not wait for all of the information to come to me. And she started publishing her poetry. I'll never forget when Sam first sent me a message. I didn't know who she was. She sent me a message and said, I'm a listener and I want to thank you because I started writing on Medium and it's been great and I'm making some money. And of course, Medium money is tiny money, but it's money, right? If you weren't ever making money from your writing before. And I turned to my husband and I said, I cannot believe this. Somebody who listens to my podcast has taken an action before I have. And it's amazing that it's happening. Look at what happens when you take action. So I want you to look at what happens when you take action. So right now, there's probably something, and I'm not saying it's Medium because that's what we're talking about today, but there's probably something in your world, could be from here, could be from another podcast, could be something that you're reading about that is tugging at you. And you're saying that might be for me, but I'm not sure. I want to see if I hear anything else about it. I want to look into it more. And I want to challenge you right now to dive in, to go find it. Don't sit and wait for it. Because, as we said in a previous episode, I want to say it was episode 52, the Do Something episode, taking action, even messy action that doesn't have all the answers right away, that is what's going to lead to your clarity. So now let's head back into this episode. Let's hear about what Sam was planning to do with her poetry and what has happened in Medium since she started writing there.
I had started developing my own blog. That was the first thing that I tried to do when I realized that I wanted to live a more creative life. And I just couldn't get it off the ground. I couldn't figure out the mechanics of the website. They completely intimidated me. I didn't want to do a pre-set up website. There were so many things about the blog that just didn't feel right to me, even though I kept kind of tinkering. And then when I heard about Medium, it just felt like the perfect thing. It just felt like exactly what I needed to be doing. And I just made a profile and started publishing right away. And it was amazing.
I have to say, it's interesting that you say that about having a blog and choosing Medium over it, because that's been my feeling about where Medium fits. It's kind of like, if you want a blog, but don't want to worry about all of the back end bit of it, you literally just want to show up and have your stuff out there. It is, to my eyes, like that's a good space or a good way of thinking about Medium as a writer. Do you still agree with that? I mean, I know we're going to talk about the changes, but
yeah, it's a little controversial. I think there is some similarity to if you are a physically creative person, if you make physical products and you're trying to start out and you make yourself an Etsy site, there's almost like a similarity between being a writer and getting yourself out there as a writer and using Medium as there is with Etsy. And for those of you that know anything about Etsy, there's a lot of things that are controversial about Etsy too. So there are pros and cons to starting your business on Etsy. There are pros and cons to getting your writing out on Medium. But I don't think it's necessarily like, there are definitely still better ways if you want to do certain kinds of writing that you might want to look at as opposed to looking at Medium, especially now.
Okay, so let's take a minute and sort of break this down. What does Sam mean when she says it's similar to Etsy? Well, let's say I create paintings, and that is something that I want to sell to people. I have two choices. I can put my paintings onto a website like Etsy, where Etsy will get a fee and they'll have some control over how high or low I can price things. They'll have control over who gets to see my paintings because, I'm within their algorithm. But because I'm on Etsy and so many people shop on Etsy, I will at least be in a world where more people can see me. What else could I be doing with my paintings? Well, I could create my own site and have a whole brand around it. And everyone can come to Nicole Rivera's website of paintings. And if they want a painting from me, that can be their one-stop shop. Pros and cons. Now I have to go find those people. Now I have to get my name to mean something large so that people will want to seek me out and not just stumble upon me when they're shopping around Etsy. The same can be said for Medium. Medium is a great one-stop shop for people who want to get their read on. And if they're fiction writers, they may stumble upon your story. If they're poetry readers, they may stumble upon your poems. If you're in a publication in Medium, you have a much greater chance of being seen by people who may not have known you before your words were there. However, Medium holds the strings. They get to decide what stories get front page, what stories get circulated in a newsletter, what stories maybe just don't get seen at all. So we'll get more into the types of things that happen on Medium and what the Medium curators are looking for in order to bring your story up. But what Sam's talking about is if you're a writer and you want to have more control over your writing and not sort of hand it over to somebody else to decide to disperse how they want, you can still have your own personal blog, build your own brand, have people come to you and find your stories. Or you can submit to other publications. There's so many different online publications or even print publications looking for fiction, looking for poetry, looking for personal essays. this is what she's saying. And she's absolutely right. When there's so many different avenues for us to use for our own publication, you have to make the decision. I think not only as a writer, all of your stuff, but I think it also is a decision to make on a piece by piece basis. Maybe there's one story that I have that I say, you know what, that might do well on Medium. I'm going to throw that up there. And I can't really think of a place that I'd want to submit it right now. But there might be another story that fits in really nicely with a literary magazine's theme for, what they're asking for right now. And I say, well, that's not going on Medium. I'm going to submit that and see what the editors of that magazine say. So absolutely, we want to go into this critically thinking about what we're doing with our writing. But while we're in this conversation, if Medium is a place that you're considering, let's head back into the episode and hear from Sam what is going on there in terms of what a curator is looking for, what are the things that are going to get your story seen by readers. So you made the choice, you started putting your poetry up on Medium, and what happened next?
Right. So that was kind of the heyday of when poetry was doing well on Medium. And I got up to a pretty large amount of money monthly that I was able to make just off of my poetry. I was up to almost $200 at one point at like my peak of just mostly writing poetry and a couple of personal essays and articles. And we can talk about, what topics do well on Medium now as opposed to then, but really then, especially for poetry, it was such an amazing place to be able to publish and make really good money. I know other people who were poets or are poets who were publishing poetry on Medium and were really almost able to support themselves on what they made. They were making.
I did notice that. It did seem like such a nice space for anyone who was writing poetry, and I felt like you don't see that too much out in the public like that. So it was really fun to have that place where people could really explore and be rewarded for it.
Right. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that the system encouraged people to clap. So there was a whole clapping system on Medium, which still exists, but payment was a lot more tied to the clapping system then than it is now. And that was one of the big changes that happened.
Yeah. So in the beginning, and Sam will speak to the changes from there, but in the beginning, the way Medium worked, in case anybody is sort of still new to the whole idea of Medium, you would post your article, story, poem, whatever it is, and similar to like how Facebook has likes or Instagram may have a heart, Medium had applause, like a little clap hand, and you could hit it more than once. Just like if you're clapping for someone, you wouldn't just clap once, you would clap your hands multiple times, and that would translate itself into how much your writing was in essence worth if the people who were clapping for you were subscribers of Medium. So by the end of the month or the middle of the month, whatever the payday was, you would get stats back and say, this article was seen by this many people, it got this many claps, and it earned this much money. And you could have that for all of your articles running down. And that's basically where Sam is saying, if she was writing and posting her poetry and a couple of personal essays, she would get this readout of all of that information and say, and by the way, that's added up to like $200, at her peak. But as all things are on this internet, there's an algorithm, there's some math behind it. At that time, they were valuing the claps, and now there's a shift of what is valued.
I do want to just clarify one thing, because that's not really the beginning of Medium.
No, not at all.
No. So Medium wasn't originally a paid platform at all.
Right.
It wasn't until, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago that it became a paid platform. It was not previously a paid platform.
Right.
And it was originally just meant to be a place. It was developed by one of the same creators of Twitter for a longer form posting platform.
Right.
because as we all know, Twitter limits how much text you can input into it. And they wanted a different platform for people to be able to post longer form posts.
Right.
So, but one of the things about Medium is that it's really a long game, and the people that do the best on Medium are the ones that show up consistently over a longer period of time. And it's really challenging right now, especially for poets. But what I keep reminding myself is that I want to see what the long game is. I'm not giving up on Medium,
Right.
because they are algorithm driven, and they're very much concerned with the user experience, the writer's experience. They're always trying to improve to make that a better experience for everyone. So just because this is the way that Medium is now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the way that it's going to always be from now on. They do change things up. And I think that's also because they want to spread around the love. I think to some extent they don't want people to kind of figure out the algorithm and break the system and be able to make, you know, some people are still able to make a lot of money and make a living off of Medium. That's always going to be the case.
Right.
There's a lot of hacks and different, I guess, hacks.
Well, once you figure out an algorithm to anything, and then it becomes formulaic. So there is value in changing the formula to keep people writing authentically and not writing to that all the way. So is there, well, we've talked about that poetry had a higher value before. Now in the new system, do you think there is a move toward a certain type of article, or something that Medium wants to see more of from writers?
Sure.
How do we determine where we fit, and whether, because for me that question answers whether or not I belong on Medium. It's not really like I'm going to sit here and now try to create what Medium wants. It's just a matter of, is Medium the right space for me? So who is Medium looking for right now when it comes to writers? Like, what types of things?
Yep. So they've been very clear about what they want.
Okay.
And that's one thing that's really fantastic about Medium. They were very clear from the outset about how this was going to look, how these changes were going to look. They they sent an email out to all of the writers on Medium, and they were very clear about what they wanted and how the changes would impact writing. And they were trying to be optimistic about poetry. I think they were a little overly optimistic about, quality and that kind of thing, being able to carry the day. But what they really want is longer form pieces. They want writers that can capture the attention of a reader and keep that reader on their site. And the better you are at doing that, the more money that you will hypothetically be able to make from a piece. So they want high quality, longer form work and things that capture the attention of the audience. They're really trying to create a space for writers who write in bizarre niche topics too.
Okay.
They were very clear about that. They want their weirdest pieces that don't fall into any category on your blog. They want things that are outside of the box. They want to create a space where community can gather around these weird niche topics.
Interesting.
That's something that they were very clear about from the beginning. And then, so the claps have become a way, instead of being directly associated with payment, they really become more a way to get your work in front of more people. So the more your community supports you through applause and claps on the platform, the more Medium sees the piece and says, okay, this piece should be shared more widely. Now, the widest that your piece will be shared and the most push that you're going to get from Medium and their SEO system is going to be when your piece is curated. And curation is a result of the staff from Medium coming down and looking. They review everything that's submitted on Medium, as long as you put these little tags on the piece, and every time you publish something, you have the option to put 5 different tags on your piece. They're like SEO keywords.
Right.
And there are different SEO keywords that are associated with curation. There are specific ones that they curate under. So examples of that would be poetry, self, fiction. This happened to me, which is kind of a strange one, but that for personal essays, that's a big one. Inspiration, productivity. I don't know, there's a list of maybe 50 of them, and a lot of them have to are directly linked to the topics in Medium. So when you go onto Medium, you can see the different topics that they have. And so you have 5 opportunities to be curated if you're using those tags properly. And your article can be curated in multiple topics at one time. I've even known people that have been curated in all 5 of their tabs.
Cool.
So that piece would earn a lot of money. Curation is not directly associated with earning, but they'll feature that piece more, and then more eyes will be on it, and then the more buzz and the more time that people spend on that one article, that's going to make you money on Medium.
So when we talk about longer pieces, literally how long it would take something to be read, is there a number of how many minutes of read it is? Is it a word count? What is your opinion, or have they been clear about that, what they consider as a longer piece they want to invest in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just want to say one more thing about curation before I forget it, and then I'll definitely get to the time length question, because it is very straightforward.
Yeah.
The other feature about curation that I wanted to mention was that it has to do with the length of time that they're willing to promote your piece to. So they will reach back on curated pieces from months ago and re-promote them as they feel like is appropriate and necessary on the topic. So if you're curated in productivity and you published something 3 months ago, that piece might get a second wind or a third wind or a fourth wind several months down the line, that other pieces that you have that you've written, if they haven't been curated, those pieces will not be picked up again by Medium. They will not get the same exposure. You can put them in your newsletter, you can try to bring life back to them yourself, but Medium is much more likely to help you continue to promote your writing that is curated by them.
That's amazing. It's kind of like having a team on your side, someone else working for you as well. Yeah, curation is always the key. So I know we're going to talk about the length of time, and I already asked that question, but it's just reminding me, when you talked about the various tags and the things that they look for curation, you said that there were about 50 of them. Is there a place that writers can go to find that list, or is it literally looking at the topics and seeing what kinds of tags they might want to add in?
I do typically, when I'm looking for tags, I will just go straight to the topics on Medium and pull from there, because most of those, if not all of them, are tags and are used in curation.
Okay.
And the other thing that you can do is find someone on Medium who is one of the top writers, and if there's a top writer tag, that means that there's curation associated with that tag. There are lists of top writers in each topic, but someone that has like 50,000 followers on Medium, they're likely going to be a top writer in multiple tags, and you can see all the different tags that they're a top writer in, and all those tags are topics that you should be using for your tags in your articles. They're competitive. It's not an easy thing to be a top writer. It's not an easy thing to be curated. You really have to work at it. You've got to be consistent with writing on Medium, because they don't tend to curate people that aren't consistently writing and aren't writing a whole lot on there. They really like to see that you're committing to publishing on the website.
Right.
So in terms of the length of time, Medium does give you a estimated length of time when you put a draft into Medium. So it'll estimate how long your draft will take to read. They are, so in the past, we've thought of longer pieces around the 10-minute estimated 10-minute length. So if you are looking to really establish yourself and put things out there on Medium, I think somewhere between 6 to 12 minutes is really what you ideally are going to be wanting to write regularly. And if you, the other question that comes up a lot when we're talking about time is quantity versus quality. Like, should I be publishing quality pieces on Medium and spending lots of time looking at them and revising them? Or should I be publishing quantity and just really trying to get out there as much as I possibly can? And whenever I'm asked that question, I always have to respond both. You're always going to do better on Medium when you're putting out quality and quantity at the same time. I've been writing on Medium for almost a year now, which is actually fairly long. Medium's been around for like 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere around there. But people give up pretty easily because it is extremely draining and you get burnt out from the grind because it requires a lot of you, and it can get really challenging.
When you are actively writing on Medium, how many posts would you say that you do per day?
At my top performance on Medium, I was trying to post 3 poems a day or 2 poems and an article a day.
So three pieces per day.
Right. And I know other people who, were trying to post 2 or 3 articles a day. I can't do that. I just can't I'm not prolific enough in writing articles. It takes me too long.
Do you think there's any value to somebody who wants to do 1 per day or not even per day? Is once per week too little for it to translate into something for a Medium writer? If you're going to Medium strictly to get money out of it, or is it like if you're going to do it once per week, don't really expect a check, just use the exposure? Because I mean, one thing that can be said for Medium, we talk a lot about the money of it, but you do get your byline, you get your little like home page. So there is a lot of value in just getting your stuff out there and people saying, oh, I'm interested in this person, let me see where they come from. And you can, in your profile, have like a link back to your home base, whatever that is. So to me, there's always value in that. But if I'm talking strictly about monetizing this and using Medium as a medium to get money for my writing, is that just not a part of the conversation if I'm only going to show up once a week with an article or a longer piece? Let's say I say, oh, Sam said longer pieces, so I can commit to doing 1 long piece per week and getting it out there. Is that worth my time?
It can absolutely be worth your time depending on what you're writing.
Okay.
And where you're putting it, where you're publishing it. So we haven't talked at all about publications yet,
Right.
but that's another huge piece of the Medium puzzle, is knowing where to publish your piece to get the most exposure. Publications already have their own audience. If you're just taking your writing and posting it directly to your profile on Medium, it is unlikely that you're going to be making a lot of money. You are not going to be very successful if you have not built up your own audience on Medium, just posting your pieces directly to your profile. You want to strive to get your pieces into publications, the audiences, and are well established and have good reputations on Medium. And ideally, what you really want to do is get your writing into publications that are Medium owned publications.
Okay.
And they are extremely competitive. Some of them don't even really take submissions. Like, you kind of have to do the third door approach to getting your writing into some of these places. And I guess I should explain what that means for people that don't know what it is. But Alex Benayan is the author of a book called The Third Door, and I absolutely love that book. And
so good.
he is so extremely wise. But he talks about the third door, particularly he uses the example of a nightclub situation. And there's always 3 doors to get into a nightclub. The first door is the door that there's the line around the corner where every Joe Schmo is standing in line waiting. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to get into the nightclub that way, but you could try and maybe get in, but it's pretty unlikely. The second door is for celebrities and people that have accumulated wealth and have certain social standing to get in. And if you're Joe Schmo, you're just not getting in that door. And then the third door is the door that you have to run around the side of the building, hope that someone, wait to see if someone cracks the window, check every day, finally stick your finger in the cracked window, pull it open, like the thing that you have to do to really hustle your way into the nightclub, but eventually you get in because there's always a third door. There's always that third way to get in. And some of these medium publications, they really feel like, they don't make it very easy for you to get in. But there are other ones that accept you with open arms. There are newer ones that accept you with open.
Okay, Sam has just finished telling us how powerful publications can be on the path to curation and being seen on Medium, getting your writing a step above the rest. In this next segment, she's going to list for us a number of different publications that she has found are open to new writers and looking for submissions. So I don't know if you have a pen and pad. I don't know if you want to bookmark this section of the podcast to come back to later, but you got some valuable information coming this way of various publications that are looking for you. Here she goes.
Arms. There's one called Slackjaw. Right now, I'm pretty sure it's a Medium publication, and they have humor articles. So you can get published there. They're relatively new. Heated is one for food. So food blogging, if you can get your article in there, that's a Medium owned publication that does very well for you if you can get your article in there. And then there are some publications on Medium that are not technically Medium owned that will get you a lot of an audience and notoriety to be a member, be a contributor of that publication. I'm thinking of The Ascent. I'm thinking of P.S. I Love You, which is fantastic for poetry and fiction writers. They're one of the best publications on Medium for, especially I feel like for fiction. And then there are several others that I'm a part of that like Scribe and The Junction, that both of those take personal essays and poetry. They have a well-established audience on Medium. And you, as a new writer on Medium, I feel, there's a lot of advice that you can take, but personally, I think that it is a good idea to put your work in publications that already have established audiences.
It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It's just a great place to get readers.
Right.
So it probably a separate episode, but quick and dirty, if you want to get into a publication, what does someone have to do that?
So it really depends on the publication, but each publication, if you poke around on their page enough, you will find information about how to become a contributor and whether they're even taking new contributors at the time. So you really have to poke around and look at their About Us page, look at all the different tabs if you have to. Sometimes they don't make it all that clear about how to but you really have to poke around as much as you can. And then the other thing that you really should do if you want to start writing on Medium is become a member. If you have Facebook, become a member of some of the Medium topicked Facebook groups.
Okay, here comes another dose of juicy information. If you are serious about taking on Medium as your platform for writing, you really need to get into some of these Medium Facebook groups. So take note, because Sam is about to list a couple of really hot ones right now.
One of the biggest ones right now is Medium Dreamers. There's Medium Magic. There's Medium Mastery. There are a billion different Medium Facebook groups, it feels like, but those are 3 of the really big ones right now that I would say that you should really join if you're wanting to be a part of Medium, to have some of these questions answered.
And in terms of just submitting stuff to publications, that's all stuff that you write new. Most publications don't want you to take something that you've already posted on Medium. Like, you have to make that decision before you press publish.
Yes, you do.
Right.
99% of the time, that is absolutely the case. And one of the new changes for Medium, it was a new rule change after the big change happened. There was a new rule change where some folks were writing on Medium long enough that they had pieces that weren't curated, that didn't really do very well,
Right.
that they wanted to breathe new life into. And they would take that piece, and sometimes they just would take the piece, retitle it, change a few words around, and hit republish. That's now against the rules.
Interesting.
So you can't even take your own old articles and republish them anymore. That's not allowed.
Okay.
Okay, it's me again. This last point that Sam was talking about actually triggered a thought in my mind long after our interview. So I contacted her and asked her, from the perspective of a new writer who's writing fiction, if you decide that you want to put up an early draft of a story that you're working on, just to sort of get it out into the world, and then decide you're working on it and it's getting better and you'd like to submit it to a publication now that it's in its prime form and fits the submission call of a certain publication, does this rule still apply? And she said from her understanding, it seems that it does. Medium is really not interested in seeing revisions of any type of writing. So I wanted to put that out there for you, particularly the fiction writers out there, if you were thinking of using Medium in that way. To be honest with you, I was. So that's why that question came to mind, particularly with those of us doing the challenge of writing 52 stories in 52 weeks. I was kind of thinking that Medium was a great place to put my stories up week by week as I then decided what I wanted to do with them in the future. So it's something to consider. And Sam did give me a link to an article that goes into detail over the rule that Medium has created concerning revisions of articles on Medium, and I will include that link in the show notes.
I want to thank you for your generosity, because I know that Medium is very competitive, and sometimes people aren't as forthcoming with what they know about Medium because they say, if you don't know, you can't compete with me.
Or if you don't know, then pay me a lot of money.
Pay me, right?
I'll teach you. Yeah.
Well, that's it too. And that's, I do want to, let everybody know that this information that Sam is giving us is a lot of people are running Medium courses for exactly this type of information. So I can't thank you enough for sharing all of that with us, because, it's, I think it is a great space for writers to get their name out there and everything, but it is overwhelming. And if we can help anybody get over that bump and just like stick with it, then I would feel like we've done our job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to let everybody know about for Medium before we wrap up? I feel like we covered a lot of the changes and stuff, but no more than me.
One thing I think I'd also like to mention is a question that I get a lot is, should I have a niche topic? Should I try to focus on one thing, or should I diversify and write about a whole bunch of different things? I personally feel like if you have the capacity to write about a bunch of different things, if you want to share poetry and you want to share recipes and have a food blog, that are interested in food blogging, if you have travel in your interest, if you want to do whatever you have, personal essays, I think it is a benefit to write in a variety of areas.
Right.
if you are just a fiction, if you're not just a fiction writer, but if you are solely a fiction writer and you want to do that, that also can be great. But don't feel like you have to niche yourself to be on Medium. I think there are a lot of advantages actually to not having a niche on Medium and being able to write in a variety of topics.
I have to say, just as a reader and a consumer of things Medium, that has been my impression. And that is why I like the idea of being on Medium rather than having my own personal blog, because I feel like if I have my own personal blog, I have to define some niche and I can't be all over the place. And I love that Medium has so many different avenues that I can write an article one day and write a short story another day and a poem the next day, and, you know, and just still be me, you know, and still be me. And it'll get to the audience that's interested in that. Whereas if it's on a blog, you then get too diversified and, you know, your audience is like, but what do I come here for? So
Right.
Medium is a great place, I have always felt, where you can take those different pieces of you and send them off to the audience that wants that. And just, it's really great. But like you said, if you have the capacity to keep up with all that stuff, because the end game is that you do have to be consistent with whatever it is that you bring there. So,
Absolutely.
all righty. That is a lot of awesome. Now that we've talked all about Medium and all of the work that we're going to be doing in our writing, Sam and I also have a big time announcement of something that we have been planning for quite some time. So Sam knows this. About a month ago, Tammy Brightweiser, who's a listener of Stop Writing Alone, but also in our book club, posted on her Instagram a dream writing retreat. And she had this beautiful picture of this space. I don't know where it was, but some beautiful room with large windows looking out onto nature. And Sam and I just like dove into a private conversation of, what is this? Does she know what's happening? Because the question is, if I had to design my own dream writing retreat, what would it be? It would be a building like this, a space with big giant windows, and it would be immersed in nature, and I would just be away from all of my stuff. And the big surprise there was that as Tammy was posting this, that is exactly what Sam and I were planning. We're planning the Ever After Spring Writing Retreat in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland, a place that is immersed in mountains, trees, a beautiful lake as it's named. And we found a beautiful, I should say, Sam found a beautiful house for 7 women to gather and share and support each other over a weekend. Of course, we are 2 of those women, so there are only 5 spaces in our Ever After Spring Writing Retreat. But we are really looking to take all of this community building that we have been doing here in Stop Writing Alone, in the Mastermind book club that Sam has, and all of these different corners that we've been meeting virtually. It's time to take it a bit further. I said it in a couple of episodes before that I'm really hoping that I can meet you guys and have some real shared experience over our writing and our stories and developing ourselves further. And so this is it. So I want to just run through for you what we are planning on offering. First of all, we have this beautiful space in Deep Creek Lake, a big home, a private room for every single attendee. We've got a fire pit there, wraparound deck, lots of beautiful, cozy gathering spaces to share our writing and our various experiences together, but also private rooms for us to go back and rest, relax, and recharge at the end of each night. Where it's a close proximity to the Pittsburgh airport, with shuttles that go back and forth from the airport to Deep Creek Lake. And we have a great itinerary for you guys. It'll be from Friday to Monday. And what we have planned is that Friday will be a check-in and a dinner with the entire group, just to sort of settle in, introduce each other, hang out a bit, see the space that we have. But Saturday will begin the real work. And Saturday is going to be what we're calling our self-care Saturday.
Love it.
We're going to do a lot of personal growth, a deep dive into the stories like that we tell ourselves and how they shape us. We're going to provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that dinner Friday night is also part of the package, and just a lot of work. And when I say self-care Saturday, when we talk about this, we're not talking about this, I don't want to say harmful definition of self-care, but there's a definition of self-care that's a lot of cozy.
Yeah, we're
And
not talking about bathrobes and
yeah, yeah, we're going to have fun and definitely come out better for it. But self-care is the work. It's the work that we need to do for ourselves so that we can show up better in the world, so that we can appreciate all the things in our lives a little bit more. So we are going to do, like I said, some deep diving. You have to remember that both Sam and I are students of Cathy Heller. Sam has been to Cathy's personal glow retreat at her home. I have been to Cathy's Dreamtopia, as well as her student in a number of courses online, from podcasting to business building to her personal coaching. So we have learned so much over the last year, 2 years with this woman and many other teachers as well. I mean, I could just rattle off all of the places that we have both individually gone, and we want to translate that now to you. It doesn't serve us well to keep this all for ourselves. So Saturday is all about that kind of personal growth and tapping into, like I said, your personal stories. And then Sunday, we are going to then step into storytelling with our brand new eyes. After doing all that work, how do we come to the page to write our story? And on that day, we'll do a bunch of writing activities, sharing. We're going to support one another. We're also going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner provided for you guys, and snacks. And then we're going to wrap up on Monday with a breakfast and a goodbye. But it'll be a nice long weekend of self-reflection and coming to our writing in a brand new way after really doing all of the work required. I mean, as you know, if you've been following along with Stop Writing Alone, I am a huge fan of all different types of cool and fun writing activities that really get us tapping into our craft more. And that is basically what I have lined up for you on Sunday without telling you all of the nitty gritty details. So how do you get involved? I'm going to put a link into the show notes for this episode. What is going to happen is on that page, you can apply to say, yes, I am 1,010% interested in being a part of the conversation here, to commit to coming to the writing retreat. We did the math on this. To get a room for the weekend, your own private room for the weekend in Deep Creek Lake, to get all of your meals while you are staying there, and to get 2 days of this programming from Sam and myself, we estimated the price at $2,200, I think it was. So, I mean, I put the whole breakdown on the website for you so you can see, because it's a nice resort area, the Deep Creek Lake. So it's not a cheap room.
Great.
You know, we have a beautiful, and also the landing page will show you some of the pictures of this wonderful place. But we also, like I said, have detailed out what we're going to do with you guys. So there's a really great value there. And what we had wanted to do is make sure that we extend it to our community first at as cheap of possible price for the 5 people, the 5 women that will join us on this journey. And so up until February 29th, for the people who are listening, the cost will be $950. but you have to be paid by February 29th. If you need to have a payment plan, we can offer a payment plan of 3 payments of $400 each, starting on February 10th, and then March 10th, and then April 10th. But again, that first payment would have to be in by February 10th. So these are the offers that expire by the end of February. And what also expires at the end of February is this top secret information, because right now we are only saying it here on the podcast and in our own private book club. And then that's it. After February 29th, if there are any spaces available, then we are going to both announce it publicly in all of our shared spaces. And the price is going to go up. So if you're interested, get to that link in the show notes for the Ever After Spring Retreat. You will see all the details lined out there for you. And put your name and your email in the form. And that is also the perfect way to get any of your questions answered about it. So if you even have questions, that form is not the commitment. It's not like that you are linking and having to pay right away. That is the form to say, I want to be in the conversation. I want one of those seats. Please make sure you don't leave me out of the Ever After Spring Retreat. The other thing is, chances are Sam and I will be doing this again, and it will never be this cheap again. It just can't be. We couldn't afford to do this more than once, but we really want to reach out to the people that we have been connecting with. We've been talking about it privately, individually with different people. Like, I wish there was an opportunity to meet with you and do this kind of stuff face to face. Sam is just a great event planner, and she said, I think I can sort of work that out if you want to really do this. And I'm like, I really want to do this. So we put it together, and so the weekend of May 15th through the 18th, from Friday to Monday, we are going to do it. We're going to do all of this fun and amazing stuff for the weekend. Sam, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I think you did a fantastic job explaining all of it, but I will say that Nicole and I are adding so much value to this weekend, and we both have so much to give and experience with retreats, and we both love the retreat environment. I just got back just a couple of weeks ago from Kathy Heller's Glow Retreat that was at her house, and some of our retreat is going to be built off of and based off of some of those activities that really moved me while I was there. But I just can't wait to share everything that we have with everyone that's coming. There are so many little niches and surprises and exciting activities that we have planned that we're not talking about, because we want this to be such an amazing experience for everyone. And I know that you will leave a transformed person by the end of this weekend. It's going to be amazing for any of the women that decide to do this with us. And like Nicole said, these prices are amazing. One thing that I really wanted that we didn't get at the Glow Retreat was that, we didn't have a shared space where we were all sleeping and spending the evenings together. We all stayed at different hotels, and I just really love the idea that we're all going to be in the same house. You can go back to your own room if you need space, but we're all going to be in the same space for that entire time, and I just cannot wait to share this experience.
Yeah. This idea that Sam is talking about the transformation over the weekend, I just want to speak to whoever it is out there that right now is thinking, I would love that, but, and fill in the blank. How can I take the weekend away from my family? How can I afford this? There's, 1,000 other things that we can fill in there. You're so worth this time and this investment. And I'm saying that as somebody who last year had all of those same questions when Kathy Heller said, I want you to come to LA for Dreamtopia. And I was like, I've got a son. I can't afford the flight. I don't know what you're talking about. And it my husband was the one that was like, I think you should go. I mean, if she asked you to go, you should go. So it was a strange experience for me to say yes in that way, but I also ran out of excuses. And I continue to be transformed, not only by the experience of doing a solo trip that was literally just for me and for my passion, but also because of the human connections that I made on that trip. Not Kathy Heller. I mean, she was like the lead and in charge there, but all of the people that I met, the people that I ate dinner with, the people that I had lunch with, those people that I had those side conversations with while on this trip for me are still in my life today. I'm still talking to them every single day, and I am a better person for it. So if you are having those doubts and saying, I don't know what I could really get out of this, I will tell you, you could get a brand new life out of this simple decision for yourself, because it's just one weekend and it'll just be 7 of us all together. And if you are here listening to Stop Writing Alone and you are into the vibe of what I bring to you every single week, then you're going to be into the vibe of what's happening this weekend, and you are going to find your people, which is what I talk about every single week. Find your people. And even though we may live in all different places, I mean, Sam and I are speaking virtually now because we don't live in the same neighborhood, but we still talk to each other every single day because of the connections we've made over these shared experiences. That is part of what you are going to get when you come to the Ever After retreat. You are going to have friendships that last forever and after that one weekend. So that's the pitch. We want to see you. Check the show notes for the Ever After Spring Retreat link so that you can do the simple add your email, add your name, click apply, and we can talk about how we're going to make this happen for you. But dates you have to keep in mind, February 10th is the deadline if you want to do the payment plan. February 29th is the deadline on this discounted price and this top secret announcement. But I really hope you make the decision for yourself. Alrighty. Well, Sam, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me.
Especially lighting a fire under my butt to make this writing retreat happen. Get my introverted butt out into the world.
I just wanted to do this so badly, and I knew you were going to be the perfect person to partner with the Stop Writing Alone community. I just knew that this was going to be the exact thing that we could do together. That would be a beautiful thing that we could offer to the community.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure you click the link and let us know you are interested. But Sam, thank you. Have a wonderful week. And thank you so much for all the information about Medium as we continue to learn in this ever-changing market.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, as always, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in and listening this week. I want to say thank you to Sam for being so generous with her time and with her knowledge of Medium. And I want to say thank you to a very special listener who gave us another review. From Jazz Lover 2010, we hear, Nicole is the teacher that made me like learning. She's the friend I look forward to meeting up with all week. She is so warm, genuine, and down to earth. I feel like I am a better writer just listening to her kind, informative voice. Writing is a solo event for me, but ever since I found the Stop Writing Alone podcast, I don't feel so alone anymore. Great tips and resources are on the website, in the show notes, and I have been meaning to sign up for the Facebook group. Lots of resources here for writers. Great job. Well, thank you, Jazz Lover. All of your gratitude is felt through this review. Keep in mind, guys, anytime you feel like you want to help out a podcast or an author, a great way to do so is to write a review, because that is what gets their product into the mainstream for others to see. I noticed that we have a lot of listeners from Stop Writing Alone community on Stitcher, so I popped on over to Stitcher to see is there anything over there? And what? Not a single review for Stop Writing Alone? I don't know who you Stitcher listeners are, but I do like reviews there as well. So thank you again, Chaz Lover 2010, and everybody that has left a review for Stop Writing Alone. It is so appreciated. And really, reviews in any platform are always appreciated. Have a great week. I look forward to talking to you again next week. But remember, if you're staying tuned for the weekly writing prompts, we have a YouTube channel. It's under my name, NV Rivera. And every Friday is a new writing prompt that the crew and I over at the Swap 52 Club on Facebook are challenging ourselves to write 52 stories in 52 weeks. Feel free to join, even though it is February. Whatever you get done this year is always better than writing nothing at all. So stop writing alone and come find community. Talk to you then. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter.